This is 3 News Now, your daily update on everything Northeast Ohio with Stephanie Haney.
Hello everyone, welcome back to 3 News Now. I'm Stephanie Haney and today is Thursday, June 23rd. Thank you for being here with me for the top stories from WKYC.com and our WKYC app. Here on 3 News Now, we bring you the stories that matter most to you because these are the stories that you are clicking on, reading, and sharing from our website and from our app. And we start off with national news today. The United States Supreme Court dropped 4 opinions this morning. This was listed as one of their opinions issuance days. They've added another one. We'll get to that in just a moment. But one of the major decisions dropped today talked about New York gun laws in a major Second Amendment ruling. So the Supreme Court today struck down a restrictive New York gun law in a major ruling for gun rights. It was a 6-3 decision, and this is expected to ultimately allow more people to legally carry guns on the streets in the nation's largest cities. That includes New York, Los Angeles, Boston, and elsewhere. About a quarter of the U.S. population lives in states expected to be affected by the ruling. This is the High Court's first major gun decision in more than a decade. Now, this comes, of course, as we know, as Congress is actively working on gun legislation following recent mass shootings in Uvalde, Texas, also in New York and in California. Justice Clarence Thomas wrote the majority opinion saying that the Constitution protects an individual's right to carry a handgun for self-defense outside the home. Now, if you remember, here in Ohio, it was just recently on June 13th that a law went into effect allowing people to carry concealed handguns without a permit in this state if you are legally able to own a gun. So in this decision, justices struck down a New York law requiring people to demonstrate a particular need for carrying a gun in order to get a license to carry one in public. And Ohio, by the way, is an open carry state. You've been able to openly carry if you could legally own a weapon here in Ohio, but our recent law change was with concealed carry. Okay, so the justices in this opinion said that the requirements in New York violated the Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms. Now, there are many other states with similar laws that are expected to now be challenged: California, Hawaii, Maryland, Massachusetts, New Jersey, and Rhode Island. The Biden administration had urged justices to uphold the New York law, but obviously that did not happen. Backers of the New York law had argued that striking it down would ultimately lead to more guns on the streets and higher rates of violent crime. This decision comes at a time when, as we know, gun violence, which had already been on the rise during the pandemic, has spiked again. And today was to be the last opinion issuance day of the session for the Supreme Court, but as we talked about yesterday, they can add more, and they did. They added tomorrow as an opinion issuance day because a lot of people today were watching for that opinion in Dobbs versus Jackson Women's Health Organization. That's the opinion that we saw the leaked draft opinion of earlier this year, and people will be watching that to see what happens to the fate of the precedent set in Roe versus Wade, to see whether that is upheld or overturned. My prediction is that comes tomorrow with that additional opinion issuance day added by the Supreme Court. Here's how that works, by the way. It starts at 10 a.m. Eastern. That's when they start publishing opinions that will be issued that day. Then every 10 minutes after that, if there is another opinion to be released, that's when it comes. So if an opinion is published at 10 a.m., you expect the next one at 10:10 a.m. If there's nothing published at 10:10 a.m., then that's it, just that one opinion for the day. But if it goes on to 10:10 and there's one published, and then 10:20 and there's one published, and then 10:30 is there and there is one published, the next time you get to that 10-minute increment and nothing is published, that means that's it for today. So today, just 4 opinions issued. We'll see what comes tomorrow. Also today, Congress has another January 6th panel. That's happening. That started at 3 p.m. Eastern today. And these witnesses will include Jeffrey Rosen, who was acting Attorney General during the January 6, 2021 assault on the U.S. Capitol. So today, the committee will hear from the former Justice Department officials who faced down a relentless pressure campaign from former President Donald Trump over the 2020 presidential election results, and then a challenge from within their own ranks. So the testimony today will be aimed at showing how Trump not only relied on outside advisors to press his false claims of election fraud, but also tried to leverage the powers of federal executive branch agencies. When Rosen speaks, he was, as I said, acting Attorney General during the attacks. 3 days earlier than that, he He was part of a tense Oval Office showdown, and that is in which Trump contemplated replacing him with a lower-level official named Jeffrey Clark, who wanted to champion the false election fraud claims. Now, barely an hour today, just this afternoon before the hearing began, it was revealed that federal agents this week searched Clark's Virginia home. That's according to someone familiar with the matter who agreed to discuss it on condition of anonymity. A spokesperson for the U.S. Attorney did confirm the existence of law enforcement activity in Virginia, which is where Clark lives, but would not say what it was connected to. So in a written statement prepared for the committee and obtained by the Associated Press, Rosen says the Justice Department has been presented with no evidence of fraud that could have affected the outcome of the election and therefore did not participate in any Trump campaign efforts to overturn the results, instead insisting on an orderly transfer of power. So that's a bit of what you'll see today. Again, we're streaming that on WKYC.com, so you are able to watch that in full. Now let's talk about the fact that President Joe Biden had asked for that tax holiday, not only at the federal level, but was also asking states to participate in a 3-month tax holiday as well. And when you take a look at what the states charge on taxes on gasoline compared to what the federal government charges, you can see it would make a significant difference to individuals at the pump if they are getting that tax holiday from the state as well. So he's pushing for that, but Ohio Governor Mike DeWine not interested in following that request. He said that the gas tax holiday is a very false promise. He said it, quote, sounds very good, but it doesn't consider impact to construction projects, road safety, and more. So DeWine said today that he asked the Ohio Department of Transportation to give him figures in regards to what it would look like if Ohio stopped collecting these taxes for this 3-month period that the president is asking for, and what would the impact be to roads, fixing roads, and all of those things. He said that ODOT took a look at it and determined that it would cost the state $587 million, $355 million directly to the state and $232 million to local communities. So talking about how that gas tax compares, in Ohio, the current gas tax is 38.5 cents per gallon. The tax on diesel is 47 cents per gallon, Compare that to the federal amount. At the federal level, it's 18.4 cents a gallon on gas and 24.4 cents a gallon on diesel. So doing quick math there, 38.5 cents a gallon at the Ohio level and then 18.4 cents a gallon at the federal level. So that's about 57 cents. That would take 57 cents off of your price per gallon at the gas pump for regular gas. That's if Ohio got in on this, but doesn't sound like that's going to be happening. DeWine does not seem interested in participating in that. Something else that people seem not so interested in participating in, but at least started participating in. We are hearing reports that the NFL and the NFL Players Association have discussed negotiated punishment for Cleveland Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson. Remember, he is accused of sexual assault. We did find out from attorney Tony Busby, who is representing 24 of the accusers against him, plus a 25th and a 26th who had not yet filed lawsuits. He did say that all but 4 of those lawsuits have come to a settlement agreement and that those cases will later be dismissed. So we know that there are at least 4, again, not clear what's happening with those 25th and 26th accusers, whether they're included in that group or not. But what we are hearing, it's as a report from CBS Sports' Josina Anderson, is that the NFL, the NFL Players Association, and representatives for Watson had been talking about potential discipline agreements, but that those talks had broken down, and so the process will move forward. Now, when those cases, when it was announced by attorney Tony Busby that all but 4 of the cases would be settled, the NFL did release a statement and say that that would not factor into the league's investigation into Watson, who could be punished if it's found that he has violated the NFL's personal code conduct policy. And many people are saying, people in the sports world are saying it's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of how long that discipline will be, what that discipline will look like, how long that suspension will be. Watson, for his part, has denied any wrongdoing throughout the process. There's another person at play in this issue. It's current Cleveland Browns quarterback. He is on the roster, Baker Mayfield, and what will happen there. And we are seeing reports again from CBS Sports' Josina Anderson that Seattle does still have interest in him, and so much so that behind the scenes there is even conversation about extending his contract if he does get picked up by Seattle. Now here's the situation in Seattle. Seattle has traded their franchise quarterback Russell Wilson to the Broncos, so that leaves backup Geno Smith and former Denver starter Drew Lock. They're sitting at the top of the depth chart at quarterback for Seattle. Comparing Baker Mayfield to those people, he has more career victories, 29, passing yards, over 14,000, and touchdowns, 92, than both of those players combined. He also led the Browns to the first playoff win in 26 years. Can't shake a stick at that, okay? So Cleveland is now penciling in, seeing what will happen with their quarterback situation. A lot of people are saying not a chance that Baker Mayfield wears a jersey for the Browns again. Anything can happen. It is a wild world out there, and we don't know. We don't know what is happening with Deshaun Watson, but we are seeing there is still interest, and apparently high interest, from Seattle. Now from football, let's go to baseball. Let's talk about the Cleveland Guardians, because after yesterday's win, yes, they are still number one in the American League Central Division. Now they're playing right now, so after today there are 97 games left, but so far, right now, they are number one in the AL Central Division, and that can't be ignored. Yes, it is early. It's still June. 97 games is a lot of games left, 98, counting the results of whatever happens today, this afternoon. But they're doing pretty good for themselves, especially when they were projected to finish fourth place in the division. Now, again, anything could happen. They've got the youngest roster in baseball, but they are in a solid position at this moment. So, on WKYC.com, our Ben Axelrod has taken a look at how the Guardians were able to come up with this first place roster. He's taken a look at a lot of different scenarios. One thing he talked about is the Mike Clevenger trade, and that could have a pretty big impact on what shaped this roster at the moment. It was a 2020 deadline deal. In return for Clevenger, Greg Allen, and Mike Waldron, Cleveland got 6 players: Austin Hedges, Josh Naylor, Owen Miller, Kyle Quantrill, and then 2 more players. And of those players, 3 have become everyday players for the Guardians. Hedges is the primary catcher, Naylor is at first base, and Miller plays over the infield, pulling together an impressive offensive campaign. And then Quantrill is a cornerstone of Cleveland's starting rotation. So lots going on there, and if you want to see some more scenarios and how they've broken down to put the Guardians in the position that they are today, head to that article on WKYC.com. Ben does a beautiful job of breaking it down. And our 3 News contributor, Danny Cunningham, is taking a look at 5 players that the Cleveland Cavaliers could pick tonight in the 2022 NBA Draft. Yes, that is tonight. That is happening at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn. And the Cavaliers have pick number 14 at the moment. So there are multiple people that they could end up with, but we're going to focus on the Ohio guy, Malachi Branham. He's a guard. He's out of Ohio State. He could find himself picked in the lottery on Thursday night. He might be the best player left on the board when they get to that number 14 pick. He shot the ball really well deep in his only year with the Buckeyes. It would be sort of that one-and-done situation, played a year with the Buckeyes hoping to get drafted. He also played defense at an impressive level. Could translate to the NBA. That's one possibility. For more of those, head to WKYC.com and check that out. And if you are in the Cleveland area and you have basketball aspirations, you are going to want to listen to this story. And it's interesting how this all plays into Cleveland Mayor Justin Bibb's comprehensive violence prevention strategy. There's a 6-week NBA-style basketball tournament. It's coming to Cleveland. It's a partnership between the Cavaliers and the city of Cleveland. Here's a quote from Mayor Justin Bibb. I'll read it to you directly. Public safety is our number one priority, and we are focused on creating opportunities for our residents to participate in a variety of programs providing intervention and education. We are excited to launch Hoops After Dark in the community and are so grateful to the Cavs for their ongoing support of our efforts to stop violence before it starts. So this campaign is called Hoops After Dark, and the idea here is to give young people something to do besides participating in violence and supporting the mayor's vision of creating safe neighborhoods in Cleveland. So there will be 8 teams. This will run from July 11th through August 19th. Tryouts for the league are next Monday, June 27th. They're at the Cadell Recreation Center, and then also Wednesday, June 29th at the Zelma Watson George Recreation Center. They'll be in the evening from 8:30 to 10:30. Now, if you need transportation to get there, there are 6 recreation centers that you can make your way to. You have to be there by 8 p.m. and then they'll get you where you need to go in order to get to the tryouts. And we have those listed on WKYC.com, so check that out. They're in Cleveland, Estabrook, Gunning Park, Glenville, Frederick Douglass, Cleveland, Thurgood Marshall, and the Fairfax areas, those recreation centers. Again, all listed on WKYC.com with those addresses. Now, this is a good story, this next story, but it's a cautionary tale too. And the moral of the story is if you pull over and your car is smoking, get out of the car. Thankfully, this Good Samaritan was on hand to save someone from a car that was on fire. This happened in Akron. The Good Samaritan's name is John Hansen, and he'd just gotten in his car. He was heading home to Greenville, South Carolina, and then he saw a silver Jeep in flames on I-77 in Akron. So he pulled off to the shoulder of the road, and then the person in the car sat there on the phone. And that's when Hansen said he pulled in front of him in case the vehicle exploded, and he told him, get out of there, because that car might explode while you're in it. And he said when the man got out, he told him he could only see the steam. He couldn't see the flames underneath it that Hansen can see. So where there's smoke, there's usually fire, right? Well, there was in this case, because after the man got out of the fire, the car exploded. And then shortly after that, the Akron Fire Department was on the scene. But listen, cautionary tale. Thank God for that Good Samaritan. If your car starts smoking, pull over, get out of it if you can. Get yourself to a safe position and get out of that car, because you never know what's going to happen. All right, and it is Thursday, so we have our good news show today, and we have to give you another update about Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, because remember in April, we had talked about how students at the PACS program at Parma High School really wanted him to come for their luau, and he saw their notes, he saw their video that they created with lots of the famous The Rock slogans from different movies that he'd done over the years, and he responded with a video and a shout out saying thank you so much. But it did not stop there, because we just found out that he showered them with boxes and boxes of gifts. We're talking Under Armour gear, new shoes, book bags, Xboxes, adaptive controllers, and he threw them a pizza party on their last day of school. All this stuff. He put a video on his personal Instagram page. We have that linked on WKYC.com. You have to check it out. Everyone is just, it's a beautiful moment. You can see the emotion, and these people are just so surprised. These kids at the PACS program at Parma High School could not be happier, and we couldn't be happier for them. There's so much more good news, so check that out. It's on the WKYC YouTube page. Dropped today at 3 p.m. All right, one more thing to let you know before we go here. 4th of July, my favorite holiday. It's right around the corner. Lots of events happening here in Northeast Ohio. We know there were changes this year to the laws surrounding fireworks and who is able to set them off. And some places are saying nobody, because places can make more restrictive laws in their areas than the state of Ohio, right? Well, regardless, the public events are listed by county on WKYC.com. There's events happening all over Northeast Ohio from Thursday, June 30th through Monday, July 4th, the actual holiday. So take a look at that. There are festivals, fireworks displays, musical performances, all kinds of stuff. So go to WKYC.com and our WKYC app and check that out. All right, that's it for your 3 News Now update today for Thursday, June 23rd. Everyone, enjoy this beautiful day, and I will see you back here tomorrow with more 3 News Now.
Thanks for listening to 3 News Now with Stephanie Haney from WKYC Studios. Subscribe now so you never miss an update, and find more on everything you heard here on WKYC.com and in the WKYC app.